Alright everyone, welcome back to another Shoutcast match brought to you by Goska. This replay was provided to me by Roberino in my Hotmail email account, recgoska.sc2@hotmail.com. Please feel free to send me any replays you'd like to get shoutcasted. I do my best to try and get as many of them out there. And as always, I do not take any prior knowledge of how the replays go, so it's kind of like a surprise for me, as well as it is for you guys. Big shout out to Kino DVT. Been talking to him lately. He and I are both members of the Starcast community. Doing a lot of replays for them, so go ahead and check them out. Check them out at www.thestarcast.com. It's a great community to get along with. It's an online podcast, and they do quite a bit of cool stuff there. So check them out as well. But like I said, this replay was provided me. This was played on the previous version of StarCraft, version 1.2. So we don't have any of the new cool features like the being able to see both players' resources and economy at the same time, as well as missing that cool name bar that I like to put up all the time. But meanwhile, we just have these two players just kind of scouting each other. We have Roberino, the red Zerg, spawning in the lower left position, and we have Sliss, Protoss player, spawning in the upper right position. So we'll see how this game gets progressed here. Meanwhile, we do have a standard opening here, just getting his pylon right away. Kind of see what kind of build he decides to go with, whether he decides to do like a 4-gate. The last game I cast, it was a 2-gate robo that didn't work out quite well, so we'll see if this Protoss player does a little bit better this time. Oh, I wonder why that one was so slow. It was set to normal for some reason. That slows things down. Oh, it looks like that drone gets surrounded and taken out before he can get into the extractor. That might hurt him just a little bit. Now the Protoss is free to tech and expand however he chooses. Looks like we have 14 here right now. Looks like he's going to go in for a 14 pool, which is what we saw from him the last game. I'd like to see him get Zergling speed this time, so if he can get that extractor up right away, get that first 100 gas, get those Zerglings to move just a little bit faster, can get some nice surrounds done on those Protoss units. One thing I have noticed with this map is I've never seen players spawn in vertical positions. It's always either cross positions or horizontal positions. I've never seen the vertical. So if anybody could, fill me in on that, see if that is possible to spawn in vertical positions, that'd be kind of cool to know. But I have never seen a game where they've been in the vertical positions. Meanwhile, we do have some more pylons going up, as well as a forge build. So it'll be interesting to see how this Protoss player transitions with this. Maybe he'll do a forge expand, putting up some cannons here or down here, and then throwing up his expansion up here. So we'll see how that goes. Doing another extractor trick, maybe to get a few extra supply, get a couple extra drones snuck out as well. We do have the Protoss just kind of scouting around. No lings yet in production, but we do have a Zealot on the way for the Protoss player. And interesting to see what he does with this forge. Maybe he wants to get a quick +1 upgrade. But no cybernetics core yet, so very delayed on that. It'd be very interesting to see how this play works out. We do have that cybernetics core now going up for the Protoss. It's floating at about 200 minerals right now, so you probably could have gotten it building a lot sooner, as this Zealot is just about finished. Meanwhile, he's almost maxed out on Corona Boost, so he might choose to spend that pretty soon, as well as the Zergling speed now going up for the Zerg player, as well as getting his quick evolution chamber and an in-base macro hatch. So we'll see if he decides to do kind of a 1-base. Oop, cancels that in-base hatchery. Interesting. Interesting. And we do have a cannon now going out for the Protoss player for his defense. Good placement on that cannon, as he can hit this small area down here, as well as the area up top. And getting a second gateway going up and a Stargate. So we might possibly see some kind of Phoenix or Void Ray play. Now melee attacks level 1 going up now for the Zerg player, as well as getting some 6 Zerglings out. He does already have these 6 Zerglings on the map, so we'll see how he decides to see if he can do any poking or prodding with those units. Having this cannon and this Zealot up here, though, those Zerglings aren't going to be able to do too much damage, as they will get taken down pretty fast. And we do have an odd choice of expansion placement up here in the upper left corner. Could be quite risky for him if it gets scouted. It's very hard to defend this base, being so far away from his main base. But it could pay off if it doesn't get scouted, as he could do significant amounts of damage. So we'll see how these air units play out. If he goes over this way and then down, he'll be able to scout that right away and possibly be able to do some pretty good damage to that. Oh, there goes the Warp Gate research now for the Protoss player. So quite a bit of bumps in his play, letting that warp gate sit for so long empty, and also letting these gateways just kind of sit idle. He could easily get 2 more zealots out right now. We do have some chrono boosting out phoenixes right now, so we'll see how he decides. Maybe he's going to pick up some queens, pick up some drones, do some harassment. Meanwhile, the zerglings are just kind of funneling around, seeing what they can do. But also having this fast evolution chamber out here, he could get a couple spores out right away. We do now have a void ray coming out for the Protoss player, so it looks like he's going to be going for some kind of phoenix void ray airplay, picking up those queens, taking them down. 3rd gateway now going out for the Protoss player. Still sitting at a lot of chrono boost energy. He could choose to chrono boost out that warp gate technology, but it looks like he's just saving it for the air units, getting as many of those out as possible. Meanwhile, we look at the income tab. Both players sitting relatively even, 27 over 26 harvesters, so nothing too different there. And looks like those air units are choosing now to move out. We'll see if he decides to pick up those void rays, or if he decides to, or overlords, or if he decides to just kind of go right for the main base. But it is now going to get scouted, as the Zerg player can see those units moving across the map. So we'll see if he gets some spore crawlers up in time. Switching back over, he does have a spire now going up. Yep, there's a couple spore crawlers going up right now to help protect this base here. Likening the positioning of his units in his base. I mean, all of his buildings are kept in nice and tight, so he should be able to do pretty good damage. We now also have a hydralisk den going up. Up at the expansion up here, so he'll be able to get hydras up pretty soon. And it looks like now he's taking out some of those overlords, getting ready to supply block the Zerg opponent. It's a very good thing to do if you're not going to quite go in, especially now with these spore crawlers out. You might as well just sit around and pick out as many overlords as possible, because those spore crawlers are going to do significant amounts of damage. Ooh, focusing down focusing down on that spawning pool, but the queen is going to be able to chase that away. Now it looks like he's just working on shooing out some more overlords, supply blocking the Protoss player, or the Zerg player once again. So we see if we can get these 2 overlords are in going to be coming in compromising position as well. Taking those down as well, he's going to definitely get some hurt on his supply. Looks like he's got 4 overlords now in production, so definitely keeping an eye on that. This queen's starting to get out of position, so she might want to be careful. But losing those phoenixes unnecessarily, not really doing too much damage with them. This is kind of really slowing them down quite a bit. But we do now have the hydralisk range going up. Let's see if he gets that. Oh, picks off the void ray. Very nice move from our Zerg player. We now have a robotics facility coming up. No more air production, so he might be switching now over to a kind of a ground unit mix where he gets a lot of ground units now, since the Zerg mainly just has those ground units. We do have 2 zealots here sitting outside of his base, as we now have hardly any units left in the base. You could probably bring those zealots in and do some pretty good damage. All he's got left is these queens. We do have the Zerglings here sitting at the expansion, so it looks like just a lot of one base play from our Protoss player, which isn't going to do too much good. We have a Void Ray and 2 Phoenixes now coming out, but a lot of Hydralisks here to prevent that from doing too much damage. And if we look, the Protoss player still has no idea that this base exists, or that these Zerglings are just kind of chilling out there. With this cannon up here and all these zealots, though, they won't be able to do too much damage. We do have a +1 upgrade coming up right now, as well as a robotics bay. Trying to support a robotics bay on this only on 1 base, it could be a little risky for him. He's got some minerals and a lot of minerals and gas floating right now, so he'll be able to get a few out, but he's not going to be able to do too much damage. And the Zerglings here still spot not another expansion. We do have the 4 zealots moving out, with the 2 Phoenixes flying home. The Void Ray is just kind of sitting there out in the open. We do now have a Spire going out for the